Welcome to Piece of Pat Paints. I'm Pat. I paint things here on the internet. We're gonna get right to it. I kind of changed a little bit of the formats. For those of you who have watched it, I've done some research. I'm trying to get better at this whole YouTube thing. I did some research that suggests you should just get straight into whatever it is you're doing. So we are working on this wonderful thing right here. My very diligent son bringing me some water. I really appreciate it. Thank you, sir. You like my snake sorcerer?
Yeah.
Pretty cool, huh? All right. Thank you, son. Appreciate you. So, anyway, grab something to drink. If you have any questions, holler. I'm gonna kind of paint. We're gonna listen to some tunes I mixed up and stuff, and yeah, that's what we're gonna do. I'm trying to get mine. So this is a wet palette, and looks like it needs just a touch more water. It's very close to being done. These help keep your paints from drying out. Put a little piece of parchment down on top of this once the sponge is all done, which is very close. Sometimes I like to help it along a little bit. Sometimes it's hard to tell. I think that's actually white paint. That might be too. Sometimes it's hard to tell what's places it hasn't soaked up enough and what is accidental paint getting through those paper. Thank you. Yeah. It's feeling much better today. Yesterday I was a little loopy from I developed an allergy basically to smoke. So I have to be careful about being around too much smoke. I can do a little bit, but too much of it will it's rough. I suffer for days. I can hardly breathe, and it makes it to where it's hard for me to do anything. But I was feeling a little better yesterday, and I got on and painted. I'm feeling a little better today, so I'm going to get on and paint some more. That's what we're going to do. Alright, so a couple things. Number one, these have been zenithal highlighted. Now, zenithal highlighting is an interesting technique where you're trying to basically put the light on underneath all your work. So it was originally done in black, and then I put the highlights on it, so we could work. It makes it work on it a whole lot easier. I've also been working on these nice columns to go with it. So we'll have these pretty things that go with it. These are really easy. You just paint them. I did do a zenithal on these, and then I painted them Naples yellow and threw a wash on them. And we're gonna probably do maybe another wash, maybe two. We'll see what color I want them to be in the end. And we also have all these other ones that go with him. Now, these are all by a company called Artisan Guild. And you'll see here with the zenithal highlight difference. Okay, so all this is really going to be deep in shadow, where this isn't going to be so much. It's kind of open, right? Same thing with like the underneath of this guy's arms. All that's going to be dark. This part right here is going to be in shadow because his arm is keeping, and this piece is keeping all light from coming on to him. Is kind of the idea. So whenever you put these highlights together, you kind of, this one I need to get in with the smaller one and do a little bit more work on here to get this to shine properly. So a couple of these guys we're still kind of in the process of working on them, but I decided to do this one. So here we are, and then I just broke that one stored. That is the only drawback to 3D printed. I'll put it over here. 3D printed stuff is that it is a little brittle and it will break on you very easily. So you do have to be, a little careful with what you're doing, because you can break them pretty easily. They're easy to fix though. You just have, get good at using super glue. That's my advice. Okay, so maybe we need to take just a quick look around here, make sure we've got everything. It's like maybe this needs a little bit more work. something a little bit of a lighter or a smaller brush. This is all done with a larger brush. And we're just trying to kind of get into these pieces. Yeah, feel free to ask questions. I like to chat, and you can really literally ask about anything. You can talk about anything. I try not to talk about certain subjects, but anymore, yeah, who cares? Nobody's watching. Well, not nobody, but a lot of the things that I'll shut down anything that I'm like, man, we shouldn't be. I don't want to talk about that. Or things that like YouTube you're not supposed to talk about, because there's some people out there that want to talk about some super weird stuff. Alright, so again, just trying to kind of figure out where the light is coming down. Because we want to create, we're trying to create a shadow. And light and highlight thing before we even get started on any of the laying paint down on other paints on colors on it. And you need to be careful about this. Don't get too crazy. It's easy to accidentally, like, and I've done this several times, put too much paint on something when you're trying to put too much of the white on there, and then when you go to try and paint it, you can't get a good look. And I'm just going to do just a light bit on some of these scales. We want to be able to show these scales off, but they are definitely in the shadow. Oops, see, and there we go. That's definitely too much. I just kind of want to wisp a lot of it. We can always, if we have to, we can always redarken things later on down the road. And it is super easy to get carried away, so I'm about to go ahead and give myself my next color, so I can start doing that. It's another reason why I like having so I use these are like mechanic cloths. And these are what I'll use for my brushes to get the water off of them. And at first I was like, I don't know if this is gonna work. But I like it because I'm cleaning off these, especially these kind of brushes. You know, being able to do them on there keeps these brushes, they're super soft. You know, and a lot of times they'll get funky and da-da-da-da. But that texture really helps kind of rub them off well. Okay, so we need some dark greens. Green deep, maybe? Okay, no, that's not it. That's all wrong. Go with a phthalo. It will be nice with down in the deep darks. And then we'll can bring it up from there. So this, I kind of want to make sure this is going to be pretty thin. And the paints I use are like studio acrylics, so they're naturally a little bit thicker. Now, we wanted to work. This is going to be a different color, of course, and then this top scales we're going to have in green, and you'll be able to kind of see how this is automatically sinking a lot of color. Down into those cracks, because it's already black in the shadows, so this makes it a whole lot easier. we can give them different markings if we want. These bigger snakes, I have several of these bigger snakes. They don't all have 3 arms, but this one does. I gotta get the rest of them. They're not highlighted yet. We'll get them highlighted up. Maybe we can add to them. Oh, it'll be fun. Kind of been looking forward to painting these guys up for a while. It's nice to have them printed. Now you could easily do, and it actually is easier to do zenithal highlights with either a rattle can or an airbrush. But if you don't have an airbrush, you can definitely do it with a dry brush. I think I dry brushed all these. My lungs have been not. I was gonna do the airbrush. I was gonna like, I'm gonna knock out all this out with an airbrush. And then I just couldn't breathe very well, and I kept trying to put the mask on to run the airbrush, and I couldn't breathe in the mask. It's like, oh, forget this. I'm just gonna let it go, and we'll deal with it later. So that's just kind of how that goes. Take care of your lungs and stuff, kiddos. It definitely can come back to haunt you. Too many years running the smoker. Gosh. At least that broke right off where his hand is. Oof. My old dang shaky hands. Getting the better of me. Alright, so this is an easy fix. I really like this gel super glue because it stands up on there for it doesn't run. And like when you're doing miniatures, if your glue starts to run, it is a flippin' nightmare. Okay. Now kind of rub it in there. Make sure you got good contact. Light bright as hell in my face. Get on there. There we go. Let's say that my finger sticks to it. I think there might be a chunk of it missing. See what I get for saying it's easy. sucker. We're gonna spend forever fucking with this. Oh well, we're gonna move on. I'll get back to that later. I might have to add something to it. We'll see. I get a little nervous about sitting there messing with it on live because it's like, oh god, it's just some weird. The nothing happening seems to be like the death of any kind of live. Like, oh god, what is he doing? Why is he sitting there messing with that? And people start tuning out. Anywho, we can keep moving. At least get all the rest of this green on here. That way, it looks pretty tomorrow. Yeah, that looks nice. The green looks great. My kid's in there arguing about something. Just wanted to yell at him and be quiet. Shut the scratch up! Maybe a little bit of ochre. Think about going something a little bit lighter, but let's start off with the ochre. Then we'll come back. I need to decide what to do about all the fleshy bits. I'm thinking the flesh bits should be the same color as these underneath scales are. Maybe a little more water than that. There we go. So I'll try to find the in between of all that. Here we go. Too thick, then too thin, and too thick, and then too thin. It's the life of an artist, I think. Or at least the art of a painter. I think we'll be alright. Ugh, I hate when I break them. I've considered just going and doing shorts and maybe trying to do other videos instead of these lives. That seems to be more how people like to consume this sort of thing. Maybe I do the lives like once a week or something like that. It'll actually open up a lot of my flexibility, a lot of things I can do. I think people prefer those other formatted videos, and I think if I do that, I can record it all in HD, which is a huge difference. I don't know. I'm not the greatest like video editor, so I'm kind of leery of doing it. But I guess, you know, I've gotten a little bit better at it as it gone. I feel anyway. I feel like I have. Maybe not. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm just crazy. I don't know. I should try doing a little bit more of it. That's for sure. I definitely like this phthalo green color. I've always liked phthalo green, I guess. Really. If I'm being honest. Be patient with your colors too. That's one of the things that you got to learn early on. Is the way color works on a lot of paint is it ends up drying lighter than it goes on. So when you get done with it, it's a different color than when you started. So you kind of have to be patient with that and kind of understand that that's a thing that is going to happen. There's nothing you can do about it. It's inevitable. It is the Thanos of painting. The crux, if you will. That's a classic look. Nice. So we're working with this pretty thin version of phthalo green. This is a second coat for all that. I'll come back and highlight all this later. I just want to make sure it's nice and green color for now. We'll add another color on top, though, like I said, to kind of pull the highlights out. Another kind of green. I don't know if this guy's going to need a pattern necessarily. He may have enough going on. Other side. Phthalo green's such a great color. It's not a naturally occurring color from a pigment. Like you don't. That's right. We'll do that later. You can't make it with natural ingredients. Like you can't go and pick flowers and crush them and make a phthalo green. Like phthalo comes from a chemical process. So it's one of these colors that we've created to help mimic what our eyes see, which I've always found fascinating. Same thing with phthalo blue. It's two of my favorite colors here, and specifically because of that and because of Bob Ross. I love Bob Ross. That's the good stuff. Old Bobby Ross. Old Bobby Ross. Do. I'm doing that same thing all over again. That's a yellow ochre on there. Pretty easy going. Fairly light, pigment wise, thin, very thin down paint. Thin down paint here. Keep working those spots that are, even if it's not flesh, we can come back and kind of change it later. And it does look like back here there's some scales on his arm, so I'm gonna kind of come right up to those scales and leave the rest of it. Yeah, that's gonna look great. So just kind of working our way through this Yaun-ti. This is by Artisan Guild. Great company. They supply 3D printer STLs, which are files that you use to print things. We have a license with them and some other places to do to be able to print and sell and paint and yeah. So it's kind of nice to have somebody who we are affiliated with. I kind of like it. Pretty neat. So make sure we got all that covered. Okay. And like I said, maybe we do want to get to that stripped down kind of thing going. Okay, so now is that armor? See, like that feels like that's supposed to be his armor, but it also looks like it's part of him. I know that scales. And that scales. But I think the rest of it we're going to count as bone. Now, so we want to do like bone for these pieces. And obviously this is like going to be some sort of bone. But then we've got this is some sort of metallic piece. So we can figure out what colors we want to put on these metal parts. All my bone colors start out with the same color. Maybe Naples yellow, and then I'll put a wash on it after that. We can definitely get that done. We'll have this guy knocked out in like days. 2 days will be done. Boom, boom. I'm not going to guarantee that, but I can usually knock little miniatures like this out a lot faster. It goes pretty quick. Hope everybody's doing well out there and whatever places they are. It's been a wild, wild world lately. I just try to chill out and paint my way through it. I don't worry too much about anything. I can't control most of the things that they want me to worry about, so why worry about it? You know, for sure these shoulder blades. I mean, I really think that'd be cool to have that block out, and he doesn't have anything else on his spine that matches that, you know. So I think we'll go with bone, like this whole armor piece. Maybe they ripped it off of some other thing. Who knows? Too much paint there. Always kind of control the amount of paint you have on your brush. It's a whole lot easier to make mistakes when you've overloaded your brush. Does this go down and around? Looks like it. I'm not too worried about that magic stuff. I'll address that later. I want to make sure we're staying on line with all this other stuff. It's a little bit hairy in there. Trying to figure out what's what. Of course, these are bone. That's bone. Come right underneath here. a little bit. I don't have to worry too much about getting a lot of color in those back sections, but you don't want to leave them completely abandoned either. Dang, slippy old hands. It's hard to tell whether or not some of that has green on it because it's so dang dark. And that green's already dark enough. Watch your lines, watch your lines. Come right in there, boop, boop, boop. Alright, you can also Naples yellow this entire floor. While we got it out, we'll add some different kind of colors and stuff to that later. For now, just a light quick coat of our Naples. And it's kind of like a sand color, sandstone color. It works great for temple floors or dungeon tiles. Makes great base for bone colors. It's Naples is a great color. I'm not really sure where that one comes from. I'll have to look that one up. Naples yellows. It's interesting to know where colors come from. At least I think it is. It's probably named after some guy named Naples. Is most likely what it is. That seems to be the common reason things are named something. This will help us see kind of what we're doing too a little bit down in between everything. Very careful though, pay attention to what you're doing. You don't want to ruin any of the work you've already done. Again, that comes a lot from not overloading your brush. You can always go back and get more paint. But like if you put paint in the wrong place, it's not as easy to get off the thing you put it on. It's it's not traditionally how that works usually. Once you get the paint on there, it's pretty on there. Again, I like to chat. I like to talk about anything, so ask anything. I'm a pretty friendly fella. I don't know if anybody's watching. I turned off the counter thing a long time ago where I can't tell if anybody's watching or not. I just paint and talk. It's kind of weird. Sometimes I feel like I'm just talking to an open room and there's nobody there. And sometimes it's really busy. A bunch of people ask a bunch of questions, and I don't know. It's weird. I never. So I was when I was born. There wasn't a whole lot of internet. Like it kind of existed. We had like landline and stuff like that. We used to have like LAN parties and things like that where people could like chat over online, I guess. And then like when AOL came out, that's when it really started to get crazy. I remember a lot of my friends went to work for AOL back in the glory days. All right. Okay. Drop another round of this on the old snake belly. This is a yellow ochre. Putting down now. Anyway, like I was saying, I never thought I would be somebody sitting on the internet painting, talking to empty rooms in the mad hopes that people see my work and are like, oh, that looks cool, and give me some, you know, sort of a thumb up or something. You're like, oh man, okay. Am I doing this for the dopamine? Am I doing this for posterity? You know, what are you doing it for, Pat? I don't know. Sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder. I do like it. I like sharing my stuff. It does get a little weird. Same thing all the time. Models change every now and again. The people come on every now and again, but most of the time it's slow going. Like I said, maybe I should just build up regular videos. That's what I should do. Well, I will say the live was kind of like therapy. It gets you kind of working. And I'll tell you, it was good practice. It's good practice for being on camera. Like working on camera is, learning how to paint on camera is not easy. There's a lot more to it. Like you gotta learn how to set your model a certain way so that people can see it in the video, and it's crazy. I don't know, I was thinking maybe time-lapse videos. Time-lapse videos might look good. It sounds like a neat idea. And 45 minutes in. That's been pretty chill. Guy's got like horns or something on him. Pretty wild. Not really sure what they're supposed to be, so we're gonna kind of turn them into bone. That'll look good. Right? Like their actual horns or stuff, and something sticking out of them. No way to go. Okay. We gotta figure out what we want these metal pieces to look like. I got a lot of choices. I feel like bronze would be like too. I don't know. I feel like bronze or gold would be too much yellow. So then it leaves you with like copper. Which, why would you build copper armor from copper? I guess you could do them like turquoise. doing really dark color metal and then another metal on top of it. But I feel like it needs some color to make it pop off. You can definitely do the scabbard with something colorful. And that's definitely scales. See, that's scales down in there. Those are scales underneath this armor. That's arm. Mono, 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 mono. It may just be that one little section because it looks like it's this arm's risen up, so there's the rest of this piece of armor. It gets really hard to figure out exactly what you're doing sometimes because, like, oh, it just looks weird. You're like, well, what is that supposed to be exactly? And you can't really figure it out. I actually wish I had like a metallic, maybe like a metallic red. I don't know. For now, we're going to paint it dark silver. Because that's a good metallic color to start off with. It's fairly dark metal color. Pretty, almost like black. That's a Pro Acryl product. I like Pro Acryl, pretty good. You know, they make decent stuff. Decent. I don't know what kind of bug that was, but I just sacrificed him to the gods. Man. I don't know. Hold on. You know what? Let's take a look. Let's take a look. It's in a book. Reading Rainbow, right? Take a look. Yaun-ti Pure Blood or Abomination? I think it's Abomination. Oh, quit Google. Yeah, technically they're abominations. It looks like, see, they're wearing some sort of like purple and gold gilded stuff. Some of them do that. It's more of a, there's that purple dark color. Ooh, I like that snake. That's fun. We should do that one next. Does that have a gun? Looks like that one has a gun. Wait, I don't know this. See, I like that too. The turquoise and the gold. Maybe that's what we'll do. Okay. Switching gears all the way up again. Right here at the end of the show. That's what I get. Okay, so tomorrow, we're going to come back tomorrow, and I'll have an idea of what I'm going to do. And it'll definitely, we'll get to that tomorrow. Anyway, hope you all had a great day. I had a great day. I always have a great day. And yeah, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll do a little bit more paint stuff and get right to it. Yeah, there you go. Everybody be good to each other. Be good to somebody out there, and take care of yourselves, and make sure you get plenty of water and get plenty of sleep. And we'll see you tomorrow. We'll talk to you later.